Hello and welcome to episode 20 of me learning new stuff. And today I want to see if I can learn Neovim. So Neovim is a keyboard-based text editor. So the goal is kind of to replace VS Code with Neovim and purely rely on keyboard to edit in order to speed up stuff. So I was listening to Lex Friedman podcast episode 461 with the Primogen, and they talked a little bit about Neovim here, and I wanted to try it out. Again, I've tried it a little bit before, but it takes quite a bit of effort to get into, so in this episode is kind of just for fun and get started and see where I end up, and I have to spend much more time to actually learn it well. It takes a long time, but maybe I can start using it for some small coding projects and see where it takes me. So I highly recommend listening to this episode. Really interesting about programming languages, all kinds of stuff, programming setup, programming languages and tools and so on. Very interesting. So that's that. So I currently don't even have Neovim installed on my machine. So first off, I just headed to the Git repo and looking in the install.md here, and I can see that on Windows I can actually use winget to install it, so I'm going to do that. Go into my terminal and winget install neovim.neovim. So winget is the Windows package manager where you can install a lot of packages from the command line, which is nice. All right, and then I probably have to restart my terminal. And I should be able to type Neovim, no, Nvim, I think. Nvim. And we are in. Version 0.11. So now I'm really curious to see if that is the latest one. Let's go to neovim.io. Looks like 0.11 is the latest one, released March 2025. Could of course have seen it in GitHub here as well. Let's see. Releases 42. So latest stable one should be 0.11. Great. So we are good to go. So that was straightforward. So now now we just have a basic Nvim install, and we want to eventually use a lot of plugins. I think it's called plugins, which required quite a bit of configuration. So I want to try to use a starter kit. And I think I before have tried this starter kit called Kickstart. So let's read a little bit here. So, introduction, a starting point for Neovim that is small, single file, completely documented. It's not a Neovim distribution, but instead a starting point for your configuration. Seems good. Kickstart targets only the latest stable and latest nightly for Neovim. Okay. External requirements, git, make, unzip, C compiler. Nerd font, emoji fonts, language setups. Okay, so I just want to ask ChatGPT maybe here, what are some good starter kits for Neovim? Because I have no clue whatsoever. So I just want to get a feel for what is out there. This one I've heard about. And we chat why it's good, easy to configure, has built-in plugin manager, and looks great out of the box. Best for users who want a slick setup that balances aesthetics and performance. Lazy Vim. Best for people who want a full IDE-like experience without writing everything from scratch. Okay. Astro and Vim. Best for power users who want control and ready-made foundation. Okay. I'm not a power user at the moment, so probably not that one. Then we have Kickstart. Perfect for learning how to configure Neovim in Lua, with good comments and no bloat. Beginners who want to build their config while understanding every part of it. Sounds good. LunarVib. Active community, polished experience. Best for developers coming from VS Code or wanting something full-featured. Ooh, okay. So if I'm new to Neovim config, Kickstart, want something that just works, and we chat or lazy Vim, looking to tweak and extend a lot. Okay, at least I want to have a look at LunarVim, and I want to have a look at lazy Vim, and then we chat, just a quick. Okay, so this one I've seen, like here we get like, oh, why can't I scroll? This kind of looks like a IDE out of the box. And then we have lazy Vim, sort of similar thing. Cool. And then NVChad. I might go for one of these eventually, but for now I think I'm gonna stick with Kickstart because I really feel I need to learn how to configure Neovim. And I've tried it before, and it's kind of very tutorial-like, teaching you all the commands. So I will go for Kickstart. And then when I get a little bit experience, I will probably maybe either configure my own setup or go into one of the others here. Great. So can I just add tab to new group? Chat. Okay. Let's group these in here. Okay, so kickstart.nvim. How do we do this? Install kickstart. Back up my previous config, if any exists. Nope, it doesn't. So it will be stored here. Okay. Recommended step: fork this repo so that you have your own copy that you can modify. Then install by cloning the fork into your machine using one of the commands below. Okay, I don't think I will do that now. If you're using PowerShell, I'm currently using PowerShell. See if this one will work then. Okay. And then start Neovim. Okay, and then we get something different, which means it's probably worked. That's it. Lazy will install all the plugins you have. Use :lazy to view the current plugin status. Hit Q to close the window. So all of these were updated. And hit Q to close the window. Okay, so now I'm here. Okay, I'm not gonna extend this now, but install kickstart step. How do I run the tutorial? I really thought there was a tutorial thing here. There's a video. I think this is the one I watched before. So let's just see. Let's skip a little bit here.
Primary difference is that Kickstart is not a distribution. And when I say distribution, I mean sort of a big bundle of plugins that adds things on top of that to help you either manage those or sort of abstract away some of the configuration. Kickstart is instead a starting point, or effectively a template for the kind of things that you're going to do once you're making your configuration your own. The primary goal of Kickstart is that we have one file, and currently it has less than 300 lines of code and about 400 lines of documentation, that tells you each and every step along the way, from basic configuration to installing plugins to advanced scripting and even starting to make some of the plugins your own. We're going to work through that together today. But before we do, I do want to mention that if you don't know anything about Lua, you should probably pause the video right now and check out something like Learn X and Y Minutes and learn a little bit about Lua. And once you've done that, you might also want to peruse the Help Lua Guide, which has a lot of really useful information about where Lua and Neovim meet. But after that, let's go ahead and get started. If you didn't know what I meant when I said something like Help Lua Guide, then you definitely want to do the next step, which is you want to run tutor inside Neovim. When I
Yes.
say run inside Neovim, what I mean is you first press escape to make sure you're in normal mode. You press colon. Notice now we're in command mode. We type out tutor and press enter. When you do this, you will enter the Neovim tutorial. If you've never opened Neovim or you don't know anything about it, this is a really, really good place to start. And the most important piece of information that you learn from here is how you can finally quit. Once you've completed tutor, or if you already knew the Neovim basics, then the next thing that you need to do, even if you're a bit more experienced in Neovim, is just run help by itself. This is a really important document that can tell you a lot of information about navigating, exploring, and understanding what is in the help. Throughout the rest of this init Lua, I've left various comments telling you where to look in the help. And if you're exploring something new and you don't quite know where to go, we have included a nice shortcut, which is space SH, for searching through the help. So in this case, we could look for something like lazy install, and we could press enter and go to find out more information about the installation of lazy or whatever it is the topic you're looking for. But this is a key and very, very important aspect of your Neovim journey is you need to learn how to grok the help. We always love telling people, read the friendly manual. And if you don't want to read, you can listen right here to me reading the entire manual. The last thing I want to point out before we start looking at the code is that throughout the init Lua, I've left little notes like this with bright green text. Each time you see one, it's going to introduce a new concept or idea that's very important to your configuration, so make sure that you understand them and are paying attention when you see them, especially when you are reading through this config after you're done watching the video. The first thing that we configure is the leader key, which is effectively a namespace for all of your custom key maps. In our case, we already went over how space SH searches the help. And you can see that if I press space, I get this pop-up that tells me something about the key maps we already have set up. If I press S, we get to search. And then now you can see that the H right here is for help. So space SH.
Okay.
The last thing I want to point out before we start looking at the code is that throughout the init Lua, I've left little notes like this with bright green text. Each time you see one, it's going. If you didn't know what I meant when I said something like help Lua guide, then you definitely want to.
Okay, so let's just play around a little bit. So if I do escape colon help. Error detected while processing. Whoa. No C compiler found. Okay. So I probably need to. Can I? Nope. Okay, I need to install some dependencies. So let's go back to Vim, GitHub. And then go to the documentation here. Can I find the install.md here? Let's have a look again. Looking for the dependencies. Does this is supposed to? Okay. Let's have a look. What is all Neovim on Windows? Installer. Scoop. Choco. It's not suggesting what about winget? Great call. Do I need any dependent? Yes, like the compiler. Maybe this was just a Kickstarter that required it's getting pretty late here, so I'm not at my sharpest at the moment, I can feel, but maybe it was the Kickstarter that required, yeah. So how do we install this in the easiest way possible? Windows, pretty easy. Okay, install Neovim, clone the repo. So, need to install dependents. Oops. And then let me just link to this. Oh, TLDR, that's a new one. Do you need some dev tools? Install via scoop. Okay, this is a bit annoying. Maybe it's better to install this. Which one do I like best? Maybe this one. When I install scoop with winget, there. Then I prefer to do that. Git make unzip gcc prep. Okay. If you run into a message about needing to enable the main or extras buckets, you can do this. Okay. No package found matching input criteria. Interesting. Okay. Let's do it. Command line installer. Okay. And then we go back to here and we'll install these tools that we need. Already have Git, so probably didn't need that. Portable Git. Okay. So I'll hopefully get this up and running and then be ready to start the Kickstart tutorial and then end this video there and continue next time with the tutorial. In the meantime, let's read a little bit about Scoop, command line installer for Windows. Installs programs from the command line with minimal amount of friction. For terminal applications, Scoop creates shims, a kind of command line shortcuts inside the Scoops.shims folder, which is accessible in the path. Okay, interesting. I'm wondering, is Scoop a competitor to Winget? Probably not exactly, but yeah. So Scoop is Unix-like developer-focused CLI tools. Great, no admin needed, no UI, package types, mostly CLI tools. Okay. Good to know. Okay, it's done installing. So if I now start Neovim, let's see if I still get those errors that I got. Okay, so this seems to be done. I hit Q and then colon help. Then I get the Neovim help here. Is it supposed to, can I? Okay. Move around, blah, 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 Neovim documentation. Yep, I get what Teach said, that I need to learn how to grep this, how to search in this. So if I do colon tutor, we get this. Which is nice. So this is the Neovim tutorial, which I've started before, and it's super nice. Neovim is a very powerful editor that has many commands, too many to explain in a tutorial such as this. This tutorial is designed to describe enough of the commands that you will be able to easily use Neovim as an all-purpose editor. It is important to remember that this tutorial is set up to teach by use. That means that you need to do the exercises to learn them properly. If you only read the text, you will soon forget what is most important. Learning by doing. I love it. For now, make sure that your caps lock is off. And press the J key enough times to move the cursor so that lesson 0 is completely filled the screen. Okay, press J enough times so that lesson 0 completely fills the screen. There we go. Okay, let's do lesson 0. The commands in these lessons will modify the text, but those changes won't be saved. Don't worry about messing things up. Just remember that pressing escape and then you will undo the latest change. This tutorial is interactive, and there are a few things you should know. Type enter on links like this to open the linked help section. Okay, so if I do this and hit enter, I get the help down there. You found it, Arthur. Holy grail. Amazing. If I do escape, quit, then it will close that window. Great. Or simply type K on any word to find its documentation. Okay. Great. If I hit K on documentation, that probably don't have any documentation. Cursor, K. Okay, it's a capital K. Maybe I need to shift K. Yeah. Capital K. You can close this help window with :Q, enter. That is what I did. So I hit K, sorry, I hit Control, Shift K, I get the help, and then :Q, enter. When there is a X sign at the left, you will be required to modify text. Once you have done the changes correctly, the X sign on the left will change to a green hook. I imagine you can already see how neat Neovim can be. Other times you will be prompted to run a command. I'll explain this later. :help, enter, or press a sequence of keys. Escape, 0F space D3WP $P. Okay. Text within the things, greater, smaller signs like enter describes a key to press instead of text to type. Now move on to the next lesson. Use the J key to scroll down. Actually using the arrows, but I have to get used to use the J key. To move the cursor, press the H, J, K, L. Okay. H and L, left and right, and J and K up and down. Okay, takes a little bit to get used to. Move the cursor around the screen to feel comfortable. Okay. Wouldn't say I'm super comfortable, but I played too many games with WASD or arrows, so it takes a little bit to get used to, but okay. Hold down the JK until it repeats, yes. Now you know how to move to the next lesson. Using the down key, move to lesson 1.2. If you're ever unsure about something you type, press escape key to place you in normal mode, then retype the command you wanted. Okay, the cursor keys should also work, but using HJKL, you will be able to move around much faster once you get used to it. Okay, I'll take your word for it. Lesson 1.2, exiting Neovim. Before executing any of the steps below, read the entire lesson. Press the escape key to make sure you're in normal mode. Type :Q exclamation mark. This quits the editor, discarding any changes you have made. Open Neovim and get back here by executing the command that got you into this tutorial. That might be :tutor, enter. If you have these steps memorized and are confident, execute steps 1, 2, 3 to exit and re-enter the editor. Note: this command discards any changes you made. In a few lessons, you will learn how to save changes to a file. Move cursor down to lesson 1.3. Okay, so I will practice quitting. So I hit :Q exclamation mark, and I'm out. Now that quits the tutorial, then I can do the same again. Can I? Whoops. Okay, I'm in write mode. Hit escape. And I'm kind of stuck. Okay. Not quite sure. I did it before. Escape, : quit. There, I got to the command. Okay, to be honest, I'm not quite sure why I don't get into the command mode. Escape, close. Hold on. I thought escape. Okay, whatever. I'm doing something wrong. And I can't figure it out. This is funny because this is always the problems for new people using Neovim. And it should be like hit escape first, and then colon. Why doesn't colon work for me? It opens this one instead of the command. Insert mode, escape, colon. There, okay. Oh my god, I know why. The freaking keyboard layout has switched to English. So my colon was not actually colon. It was Control Ö, Norwegian Ö. Oh my god. I'm face palming right now. Okay, then I can do quit. And then I can enter Neovim again, and I can do my colon, and then type tutor. And we are back, and I will do use J to navigate down. And then we're done with the exiting Neovim tutorial, and now I also know to check my keyboard layout. Okay, let's do 1.3 and then call it quits for this video. Okay, practicing navigation. Lesson 1.3, text editing deletion. Press X to delete the character under the cursor. Okay. Move the cursor to the line below marked X. To fix the errors, move the cursor until it is on top of the character to be deleted. Press the X key to delete the unwanted character. Repeat steps 2 to 4 until the sentence is correct. Okay, so we need to remove a C, to move a D and a V and a R and H and a O, and then the line is green. Now that the line is correct, go on to lesson 1.4. Note, as you go through this tutorial, do not try to memorize everything. Your Neovim vocabulary will expand with usage. Consider returning to this tutorial periodically for a refresher. Okay, so I will exit the video, stop the video now, so hopefully I can, let's do this test. So I will colon quit, but not with exclamation mark this time, because I want to see if it gets saved. And Neovim colon tutor, and let's see, lesson 1. No, it's not saved. Okay, fine. That is fine. Okay, so next time we'll continue with lesson 1.4. Thank you for watching, and see you next time. Bye.